So the creators of Naruto and Boruto recently sat down for an interview at a convention in France and answered many questions, and this is part 2. If you missed part 1, you should definitely go check it out on all the information of everything that was said. And in this one, it was pretty freaking crazy, some of the stuff that was said, and just in general, a lot to discuss. So let's jump right into it. There's also a couple of pieces from part 1 that were not included in my last video that I want to dive into. So for starters, the interviewer said, in the stories of Boruto and Naruto, was there a moment that caused more problems than others, or were there moments that met your expectations? Kishimoto said, it was difficult with Pain. Were Pain's words more correct than Naruto's? Who was truly right? That was a challenging period. Nevertheless, I'm satisfied with how the story concluded with Naruto and Sasuke. And I definitely believe Kishimoto. That makes the most sense. I mean, I remember around that time there were talks, people were wondering if Naruto was actually going to end at that particular point. Thankfully it didn't. It went on for a few more years, but yeah, I'd imagine Kishimoto was going through it. And on top of all that, it was a more so philosophical battle between Naruto and Pain having this really, what some might say, dark outlook on how to make the world better, and ultimately Naruto coming from a more quote-unquote righteous standpoint, I guess you would say. So yeah, you dealing with all of that, and then on top of that, you have to work non-stop making this manga. So yeah, that would make sense. Ikemoto said, in Boruto, everything is difficult. Unlike Naruto, Boruto already has everything. He doesn't have the goal of becoming Hokage. He wasn't as interesting a character at first. I introduced Kawaki to push the plot forward. In the beginning, Boruto was the main character, but now the focus has shifted, and I think that's a good idea. Hold up, people. This one right here is definitely gonna have the fandom going a little bit in an uproar as far as debates go, because essentially Ikemoto just said right here that Boruto wasn't as interesting a character at first, and I'm assuming he's referring to, like, Naruto. Naruto was way more interesting than Boruto, but the fact that he adds on that he introduced Kawaki to push the plot forward because Boruto wasn't as interesting as a character, and also him saying in the beginning Boruto was the main character, but now the focus has shifted. The focus in Two Blue Vortex, I'm caught up. If you haven't checked it out, I reviewed the latest chapter 13. Boruto's the main character. Like Kawaki, I mean, I guess from a certain viewpoint, you could look at it as, because Boruto is so much of a god tier character, just think like the world of Toriko. Wait, what? Toriko? When Toriko starts off, Toriko is already like a beast, ridiculously strong. Boruto is pretty much that at this point in Two Blue Vortex, while Kawaki has been shown that he needs to grow a lot. Like Kawaki, not only character development wise, strength wise, he has a lot to go. So while the narrative still primarily focuses in on the tragedy of the leaf and everybody looking at Boruto like he's, Kawaki, he doesn't really have to grow much. Like, it looks like Boruto's damn near a master, while Kawaki has a lot to grow. So it's very interesting. The narrative still focuses in on Boruto, but it more so plays Kawaki like if he's the quote-unquote MC that has to grow and stuff like that, even if it doesn't really focus in on Kawaki as much as Boruto. Then Kishimoto said, what has been the most difficult more than the content creation itself was my physical condition. I do not have a robust constitution, so I had trouble following the weekly serialization. I was always creating in a borderline physical condition. In the story, it was the fight against Pain. I treated a difficult question and I had a hard time finding a way to solve it. Yet again, I guess a very much so big statement for aspiring manga authors, comic writers, whatever the case may be, of how rigorous of a labor it truly is to draw comics, especially at that level of what Weekly Shonen Jump wants. He was going through it physically, mentally, and still trying to come up with a proper resolution. So whether you love or hate the Pain arc, you have to respect Masashi Kishimoto for what he was dealing with. He was dealing with a physical battle and a mental battle, trying to find a proper conclusion to a very, very hard problem. Kishimoto went on to say something even more grandiose, because this clarifies 1000% there shouldn't be any more questions after this for myself or anybody else as to who is writing and who is making the Boruto story, who is in charge of the narrative, how is it being made. As for Boruto, I have no worries because I have written the outline of the synopsis until the end of the story that serves as a layer for the design, and I have already handed it over to Ikemoto. Before we continue, that is 110% clarification now on how things are made. Kishimoto basically confirmed that the entirety of the Boruto manga, as far as the big beats and how it all ends, is already done. He already wrote it. It's finished. It's there. Basically just getting to that point, and how we get to that point might change, but for the most part, probably omnipotence was already established, but Ada was created as an afterthought thanks to Ikemoto, so it was Ada that pulled it off. But omnipotence probably was still inevitably going to happen, and it might have actually occurred with a different character. Maybe it could could have been an Otsutsuki ability, maybe Code could have did something. So essentially think like this: big story, important beats, 99.9% were done by Kishimoto, and it's just a matter of how they were executed when we get to that point, if anything was changed. He went on to say, if there are points to be modified, we consult and we move forward by reaching an agreement. So there is no problem. And more than anything, every month Ikimoto creates a storyboard with ideas, development, and characters that go beyond my outline of my synopsis. So even though I check it every month, I have almost no complaints. Ikimoto is someone I trust and who has helped me for a long time within the Naruto production team, so I knew he was great both in drawing and story. I wasn't planning on making Boruto if Ikimoto didn't take over. So this is a 1000%, no more questions to be asked. Post Ukyo Kodachi, essentially it's been Kishimoto and Ikimoto. Kishimoto having all of the big story pieces and Ikimoto working his way from point A to point B, and sometimes point B might be that it's supposed to be red, but Ikimoto might be like, yo dog, but that should be more like blue, so it'll go blue. But that's pretty much the way things are. We have no more room for, you know, speculation. This is what it is. The Boruto story is sitting in somebody's desk right now, or on somebody's computer. That's pretty interesting. I like that idea, and especially the fact that they're not leaving it cemented in stone. So if things like, you know, adding in characters like Ada and Damon need to be added, fine. But yeah, Kishimoto wrote all of Boruto already, and you know, as far as the main crux of it, that's crazy. Then we found out that apparently one of Mikio Ikimoto's inspirations and influences was The Matrix. Apparently he was very heavily influenced by The Matrix, and that just makes me love Boruto 10 times more, because if you know me, then you know I am a massive buff when it comes to The Matrix. I've seen The Matrix movies a jillion times, and yeah, even Boruto's drip, if you look at it, yeah, it's inspired by Sasuke, but it's not far off from Neo, baby. So I dig it. Mikio Ikimoto, he knows what's good. Ah man, that made me rock with Ikimoto even more, I ain't even gonna lie. The fact that he's influenced by that set of movies in particular, that's fire. Ikimoto went on to say, in Naruto, each enemy has a clear vision for why they fight. In Boruto, the enemies have different reasons and motivations to fight. Ikimoto also said that in Shonen, the villains need to be charismatic. I will say though, you dropped the charismatic ball when it came to Code. Let's call a square square, triangle triangle, bro. You dropped the charismatic aspect with Code. So Ikimoto, you need to step it up. I mean, the Divine Tree people, they've been a different ball game. The Divine Tree people have actually been interesting to say the least. And not to mention, okay, I gotta backtrack a little, because Jigen was super charismatic. Do not forget when it opened up and he's sipping on that wine as the end. Okay, maybe he dropped the ball with Code, but also at the same time, that was Ukyo Kodachi that was doing that part as well, even though it was based off of the original story that Kishimoto did. I don't know, just Code don't got charisma, I guess is how I felt with that portion. Just in general, hopefully Code goes through a little bit more of an upgrade when it comes to the charismatic aspect. Then this one is even more huge. Like, this is a freaking huge interview, because Kishimoto said something that a lot of fans now, they're going to be looking out for this. A lot of fans now are going to be excited, and when this day comes, it's going to be explosive, because Kishimoto said, what's important for me now is spending time with my family and maybe for a new work. And I seen this one already when I first got on social media earlier today, where people were going crazy. Oh my god, Kishimoto's announcing a new manga. Let's be very clear here, because I seen a couple of follow-ups that said essentially he's looking for inspiration via his family or whatnot for a potential new work. Kishimoto, to my understanding of this quote, he doesn't have anything solid right now that he's about to launch next week. He doesn't have anything concrete. Essentially, it looks like he is interested in making a new work, and he's currently trying to find what can bring him that inspiration and passion to make that new work. So it doesn't mean next year Kishimoto will have a manga. It could be within the next 5 years, somewhere at that ballpark, because even remember with Samurai 8, shortly after Naruto ended, about a year or two after, he said he was working on a new story that was going to be bigger than Naruto, and then Samurai 8 still didn't come for another few more years. So whatever Kishimoto was working on, don't expect it next week, don't expect it next month. Give it some time, let the man cook, and also don't expect it to be any sort of format. What I mean by that is, Kishimoto has said many a times about his health. All mangaka say about their health and how the job is ridiculous. I don't expect him to even attempt to go weekly. Most I see Kishimoto in 2024 and beyond trying to do outside of the Boruto manga, maybe bi-weekly, because I could see that format still being very valid to kind of make a hit series, which is ultimately what Kishimoto wanted to do with Samurai 8 and didn't. So I could imagine him trying for bi-weekly. I don't see him doing weekly anymore. If he does, it'll probably be in the same fashion as Samurai 8, where he'll have somebody somebody else doing the art and he'll do the story, but I don't see him doing weekly. I honestly ideally think it'd be good again either bi-weekly or the most monthly. You don't want to go too far after monthly. Look what happened with Black Clover every 3 months. No. Monthly is a way to go, or bi-weekly. If he goes weekly again, I'm going to support and I'm going to be very excited and interested, but I just hope that his health can get him through another weekly serialization when we know what Weekly Shonen Jump is like. But again, he might even have an artist doing the work, so maybe it could be a possibility of going weekly. But just in general, this isn't confirmation that Kishimoto is coming with a new work right now. He is trying to find inspiration to make a new work. Then another big bombshell that I'm sure a lot of people are going to get very upset about regarding what Mikio Ikamoto said about what he wants, his hopes for Boruto. Because he said, maybe one day Boruto will surpass Naruto's level as a hero in terms of fans' recognition. Because as far as the Hidden Leaf goes right now, there's a ways to go and he will be a hero. And in all honesty, it's kind of going to be a crazy thing to even think about, because if we wanted to just for a second tote the line and compare Boruto's journey to Naruto's journey, Naruto had a lot of people behind him on his quest, on his journey. You know, there was the Leaf and many people had his back, while Boruto literally had like 2 people. Literally 2 people and 2 people from a distance. Like, so shout outs to Boruto. And in terms of in universe, one day Boruto might surpass Naruto's level of recognition of being like, you know, the hero that saved the Leaf. Boruto might be the hero that saved the world. So there's that possibility. But as far as fans go, let's be very honest here. It is a very hard task in and of itself for Boruto that has massive amounts of years upon years of fans being like, you know, but he's not like Naruto, for him to surpass Naruto in the eyes of all of the Naruto / Boruto fandom. I think there's a lot of Boruto fans that already rock with Boruto more than Naruto. I've seen it, so there's that. But as a collective, that's a tall order. I don't want to say it won't happen, because you never know. We could get a Boruto movie next year that just changes everyone's minds and everybody just jumps into Two Blue Vortex and it's just like this new renaissance and all that. So that's possible. But it's an extremely tall order when a lot of people have a certain bias against Boruto in favor of Naruto. But we'll see what happens. Please let me know how you feel about this and be respectful. Mikio Ikamoto, at the end of the day, been working on this manga for many years and he's very passionate about it. And all he's saying is that he would like for Boruto to get more respect. Maybe he shouldn't have, say, surpassed Naruto's level, but definitely Boruto deserves more respect. I mean, since Two Blue Vortex, the manga's writing has just been freaking awesome. Let me know what you think of all these questions. And yeah, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell to get more info and all that good stuff in the world of anime and manga. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. Subscribe and hit that bell to get more. Thank you so much.
But in the end, it always ends with the end. So let's not pretend we can always start anew, we can do it again.